Every Saturday morning at 9, Ringside Radio brings you all of the latest happenings in professional wrestling, along with hard-hitting interviews with top-notch guests. That's Ringside Radio, right here, 1360 WNJC and WNJCAM.com. Every Saturday morning at 9, with the voice of choice, King Magnus, AC Smooth. Don't miss it. Saturday mornings, WNJC, Ringside Radio.
This is Ringside Radio. Right now on the line, the original diva, Sunny.
Hey guys, what's going on? I am the original diva of the WWE.
This is 1360 WNJC.
This is really where the wrestlers get to meet the fans.
The voice of choice, King Magnus and AC Smooth.
The best tag team in wrestling history.
I like the sound of that. It was nice.
This right here is the future of wrestling.
The voice of choice.
The most intelligent human being I had ever met.
Who's back there, boys?
This guy is a troublemaker.
Matt Morita.
Hell of a guy. Albert A.C. Smooth.
Is he the third man? He's the third man. This right here is the future of wrestling.
A legend from back in the days that we talked about when wrestling was good, where guys could actually perform without a script in front of them all the time. Kamala, how are you on this fine Saturday morning?
I'm doing real good to be a young man.
Hey, Kamala, thank you for being on Ringside Radio right here in the great city of brotherly love, and you had to have some good matches here in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I had a lot of them, with Andre the Giant, Hogan, George Steele, a lot of different guys. I had a lot of good matches there.
George Steele will be on this fine program next week.
Yeah, we wrestling the Spectrum.
You know they're tearing it down, right?
Yeah, I heard it. They built a new building, I heard.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate because, like you mentioned, there was a lot of great matches performed there.
Yeah.
Hey, Kamala, what got you into professional wrestling? What made you want to be a wrestler, and when did you start doing it?
I started doing it in 1978, but I didn't really want to be a wrestler. I like watching wrestling, but one thing, I couldn't find a job, and I was with Bobo Bazia. He's deceased now, and Bobo started kind of training me, and that's how I got into it. But my first match was with who gave me the break was the Great Mephisto, and so after I got into it, I needed a job. And I thought that would be a quick way to get in and make me a lot of money, get wealthy, and get right back out of it. Because, I didn't want to be a wrestler myself. But I did it anyway, and I was going to try to make the best of it.
And wrestling was, obviously, it was very, very territorial back then. There was different territories around the country. Where did you break in? What section of the country?
I was in Mississippi. It was a little... I can't even think the name of the promotion, though. It was a little small promotion. We just ran 5 days a week, but it was just right in Mississippi. So it was a little small territory.
Very good. Kamala, we talk a lot about the 80s and some of the stereotypes that wrestling kind of played on back then. And that gimmick, the gimmick of you being, the African giant and wearing that garb and painting yourself like that, was that your idea, or was that something that Vince McMahon did to play on that African stereotype?
No, actually, it was. I used to live in London, and I had started painting myself over there because I used to live in Africa too, and I had started painting myself like that, but. Anyway, after a year or so, I moved back to Mississippi, and Jerry Lawler came up with the Kamala idea. When he spelled it K-I-M-A-L-A, and I changed it to K-A-M-A-L-A. So actually, it was Jerry Lawler's idea.
Hey, Kamala, I wanted to ask you about your legendary feud with Andre the Giant, and one of the notables is that you are one of the few men to actually have slammed Andre the Giant, and thankfully we do have that footage today. I wanted to ask you what Andre was like, and what do you think of your feud with him, both in the independents and in the WWF?
Andre, he's not the friendly guy that he appeared to be. Andre was real temperamental. He had a real nasty attitude, But when I first worked with him back in 1982, he called me a name in the ring. That was my first time ever being in the ring with him. And, I beat him up. I don't know if you heard about that or not, but I beat him up right in the ring. And we never had a problem again, and I've worked with him all over the world. And we never had another problem. But other guys, top guys, he would go out there and he would just mop the floor with them, treat them any kind of way, treat them like a dog, and he would do some of the fans that way.
Well, that's one of the things that the Iron Sheik always talks about Andre is that even Pat Patterson said when Andre first started out, he was a pretty nice guy. And then later on in his career, he became very nasty to both wrestlers and the fans. So that's definitely well documented and noted. One of the things, your cage match with Andre, that was actually on one of WWF's old Coliseum video packages, a very, very heavily edited version. But he did the splash on you, the chest splash, from the top rope. You guys had a cage match. So that's how Andre was able to get to the top rope. Were you scared or nervous? Because I couldn't imagine laying down and even though he is a professional wrestler, being able to take a chest splash from him. Were you scared or nervous?
Yeah, I was, because that was the first time we had done that, even though I had worked with him a lot of time. And then, I thought maybe that, some of everything went through my mind. I said, well, he might try to get me back from beating him up back in 82. So, anyway, that big song gun had put his weight on me. He could have killed me there. He could have crushed me. But he didn't, and I was scared, though, but I did it anyway, and I barely felt him.
Was he heavy? Like, how did you slam him? Because, like I said, we do have the footage. You slammed him in one of the independents. You're one of the few men that was able to slam him. How did you do that, and was he heavy?
Yeah, he was heavy, but at that time I was just 32 years old. And, with his help, it made it easier. So he called that spot himself. And, I was surprised he called that spot. That was at Mid-South Sport for Cowboy Bill Watts at that time. And I slammed him. After I slammed him, I was surprised myself. I didn't know what else to
do. Hey, Kamala, you talked about, kind of shooting with Andre and things getting a little close to reality there. And we all know wrestling's very scripted now. But how often does that happen? How often do two guys in the ring with each other kind of let reality get in the way and get legitimately upset at each other, and it becomes more real than it's supposed to be?
I've heard of it. I never just actually saw it, but it happened to a lot of guys in the ring. They get disgusted, get mad with one another, one trying to steal the glory from the other one, and they kind of, shoot for real. But now Andre, he would do it just about every night with different guys, and most of all the wrestlers have their heads sticking out the door watching it because they know what he's going to do. But when I go out there with Andre, you don't see nobody out there because they know that he wasn't going to do that with me.
That's good.
Anyway, he did it with a lot of different guys, and it happened a lot of times in wrestling.
Well, it's nice to know that you stuck up for yourself and you gave Andre what he deserved. Another question we have for you is that your feud with Hulk Hogan and the WWF. Number one, before we go into that, I wanted to state that I think it was definitely sad that they did not exploit you more in the WWF, because you could have had a much longer and greater run, but at least you stuck around long enough to get an LJN action figure made of you. So that's pretty neat. Bruce and I both have one. But let me ask you about your feud with Hulk Hogan. What are your thoughts on the feud? What are your thoughts on Hulk Hogan?
During that time, for Hogan to be the champion, we had a lot of good matches. They were good matches to me, and we drew a lot of fans, a lot of people. We packed a lot of houses, set a lot of records all over. And during that, it was just one main event. And I said, for instance, Madison Square Garden.
Yes.
We was selling Madison Square Garden out, and just about everywhere else we went, each time we go in there, we be the only main event. Now, it's been sold out a lot of times since then, but they have, 3 or 4 main events. But now working with Hogan, it was easy. It was a treat. I love working with him. It was so easy.
Well, that's one of the ways that I got introduced to you, and looking back as an adult, because I was a kid during those times, is now and I can truly appreciate what you offered in the ring. I love the leapfrogs you did over top of Hogan. I love the kicks, and I love the splashes. Being very agile as you were, you definitely made the matches enjoyable, and that's one of the notables that I personally have for your matches. Who are your wrestling friends? Who are the wrestlers that you were friends with outside of the business that treated you right?
The only somebody that I was friend with outside of the business was Coco Beware. He's the only one. In wrestling, you just didn't have a lot of friends. You have a lot of guys that you get along with, but now after we leave that ring, we didn't call each other, like friends or visit each other or nothing like that. Coco was my only friend. Now, Alpha, one of the wild Samoan, him and Sika now, I called them and I consider them as friends, but that's about it.
Oh, okay. I've seen a lot of your shoot interviews, have seen the videos that you've done for YouTube. For anybody listening, you can go look at his YouTube videos. Just type in Kamala and Son, or is it Sons? And you can definitely see Kamala doing skits with his son. They're very funny. But one of the things you talk about is the racism in WWF and just in your wrestling career, and the allegations of possibly, sexual favors. But everybody knows about the match that you did with The Undertaker and how you got not even half of what The Undertaker got for the match, which was the casket match. What are your reflections on those experiences?
Well, if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't be a wrestler. See, when I worked with Undertaker, and I worked with him a lot of times. A lot of times it wasn't televised, but the SummerSlam '92 was one of my biggest matches with the Undertaker. And that's when he made all the money, and, which he deserved it now. He deserved it, and that wasn't his fault. When he made that $500,000 and I made the 13, that was a big difference there. That was just throwing me crumbs. And, it was a lot of racism in the WWF, and it might still be, because I remember so many times when I was there, I'd get there early and get me a nice dressing room, then they'll put the agents will come around and put signs on the door for me. That meant for me to get out and let Hogan or Andre the Giant or Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth, let them have the dressing room. I was a nothing. When I went out to the ring to work with those guys, I was a superstar. But when I come back, the hell I cut behind those doors, and I think that was real bad. And I remember when I went back in 2001 or 2, because it was years before I would even talk to a promoter again about working. And I went back, they called me for the gimmick battle royal. And when I went back, I didn't want to go, but I went on anyway. And when I went in the Astrodome, I saw Steve Lombardi, who was my kimchi. He came in and he said, they came up and hugged me, him, the Undertaker. And he said, I said, well, I'm going to get dressed here. Because, see, I used to have old curtains and things that they would tie up, and they kicked me out of the other dressing room. You're not physically kicked me out, but, they asked me to leave. So Steve told me, hey, James, it ain't like it used to be. You can sit any way you want them now. That was in 2001 or 2002.
Well, that's, I know it's never easy to experience something like that. It's definitely a nice thing that at least you were able to get some of the respect that was due to you before you left this earth, and you were able to get that at the WWE.